Animal Crossing New Horizons is a great game. I don't know if you've noticed, but I like it a lot. But it's not perfect. It's been out for over a month now, and there are still small changes that could be made that would make the game even better. So I'm going to share some of the quality of life changes that I believe could make this game the best it can possibly be. I've organised this list into different categories to try and make this easier to follow, but some things do relate to others. So the first things on my list that I know bothers everyone are to do with crafting. Why can't we craft any item in bulk? It's such a basic change that would really speed up the process, especially when crafting things like bait. I know you can spam the A button, but if there was just an option that said craft many, then maybe I could stop worrying about getting RSI in my thumb. Likewise, when you're in your home, it would be so much better if you could just craft with anything in your house's inventory and not just your pockets. It just makes sense to be able to do that. I've seen some people wanting it to be everywhere on your island you can craft from your whole inventory, but I don't personally agree. A compromise could be that there is some form of outside storage that allows you access to your whole house's inventory, so you don't have to keep going back and forth if you're on the other side of the island. On the topic of inventory, clams need to be stackable. The amount of back and forth for collecting clams, then crafting them into bait, and then back to collecting clams, which in the meantime your shovel has probably broken, it's just a long process. But if clams could stack in even just stacks of 10, it would make a world of difference. I know the argument is that they're a living creature and in the game you can't stack any creatures, but Blathers doesn't accept them in his aquarium, so I should be able to fill my pockets with them one on top of the other. Also, moving inventory items could be a lot easier. I find the holding down A and then dragging it to where I want it to go a bit clunky, which isn't a huge issue, but if you play like me and have all of your tools on your top row of your inventory, it would be way easier if there was a button that just clipped them there for you automatically. Or if there was an option when you select an item that just says move and then you move it to where you want it to go. I know it seems so silly, but it would make a difference to me. Better yet, touchscreen functionality in the inventory would be even better. We know this game has touchscreen functions for the keyboard, so it makes no sense that it wasn't included in other areas. In the DS versions of the games, you'd use the stylus to move things around in your inventory, so why is this not an option in New Horizons? Likewise, there should be touchscreen functionality for making designs. I'm not a designer, but it must be painfully slow trying to use the Joy-Cons to make some of the more intricate designs, and again, in the DS versions, this was possible, so why isn't it now? I'm not sure if these are just oversights or maybe the developers just forgot about touchscreen, but it's really odd that only the keyboard gets these functions and not some of the more fiddly parts of the game. Moving on to online improvements. Things you should be able to do when you have a visitor but can't is not being able to place items. A lot of times you'll find you have something that your friend may not necessarily have and they want to see it before they decide if they want to catalogue it or not. In that instance, you should be able to place the item on the ground for them to see. You'd still have the protection that they can't pick up any item that are placed rather than dropped, so you wouldn't have to worry about people trying to rob you, and the other person would get to see the item. I know a lot of people would like the idea of being able to decorate with each other on their islands, which would mean best friends would get more things to do, but I think it would pose too much of a risk of people destroying each other's towns and ruining what you may have already decorated. Finally, the Nook terminal ABD should be accessible to anyone who visits, not just the owner of the island. If you have people coming with a lot to trade, or possibly they want to buy something from your Nooks, the idea of having to carry all of those bells in their inventory as well is ridiculous. They should be able to access the ABD to withdraw their own funds so they don't have to worry about coming up short or wasting inventory space. They don't need to have access to your Nook Miles rewards or your catalogue, just the ABD. These next points are all general nitpicks or just don't quite fit into the previous categories, so are kind of miscellaneous, but following on from online, DoDo Airlines needs to have a faster system. Whether that be more options when you first enter the desk dialogue so you can immediately do what you need to do, or a more streamlined dialogue, I don't mind. So you could be asked whether you want to fly or have visitors, and then say you pick fly. After that dialogue, your options could be something like, I want to visit a friend locally, I want to visit a friend online, I want to fly via Dodo code, etc, etc. Then you wouldn't have to keep sitting through a load of Orville's waffle and the constant loading connections and searching. You'd get streamlined to exactly what you want. This goes back to inventory, but tools and their durability. There needs to be an indicator of some sort to let you know when your tools are going to break. Whether that be a small bar underneath the icon or a visible damage to the tool the longer you use it. I think Animal Crossing style would definitely be the latter, and I think it would actually look really cool if your tool tools looked more worn the longer you used them. At the moment it's just frustrating to be halfway through a task and oops, your shovel's broken, got to go make another one to get more unstackable clams. My next big pet peeve is with fossils. There is no equivalent to the Critterpedia for fossils. You have to do everything by eye in that section of the museum and you have no idea what the game would call that section of the fossil. I just want a simple way to know which fossils I have, which are complete and which I'm missing. Even if the missing is a blank square like in the Critterpedia, I just want the equivalent. Next would be purchases in Able Sisters. I want to be able to purchase more than one piece of clothing at a time whilst I'm in the dressing room, especially when the item I want is just the other colours of the piece of clothing I'm already trying on. There needs to be some sort of basket option so you can just purchase it all in one go, and also an indicator for if you already own something so you don't end up with 7 pairs of the same shoes because you keep forgetting that you already bought them. These next two are to do with terraforming. The first being a visible grid whenever you're terraforming, whether that's painting paths or creating cliffs or whatever. I need a visible grid so badly because every time I try to make a path, I end up painting and repainting the same section over and over because I have no idea where my character is facing. A grid would fix this if it highlighted the section that your character is about to terraform. Secondly, being able to add more than one bridge or staircase or ramp in a day. Nothing has tempted me to time travel more than this feature. Because these require you to donate to Lloyd, my only reasoning for why you can't put more than one in a day is because Lloyd can't be in 2 places at once. But this could be fixed if Lloyd just asked you which thing you wanted to donate to. Even if they don't all appear on the same day, if you're one of those players who donates the whole amount as soon as you've placed the plot for them, just the ability to place more than one plot for these things would make a huge difference. This one is a small nitpick. In Isabelle's announcements, it would be fantastic if she could let us know who is on the island that day. This would still give you the chance to explore to find out where they are, but at least you'd know who you are looking for. This would be especially good for characters like Celeste who don't have a certain day that they show up on. If Isabelle could say something like, and at 7 PM, Celeste will be wandering around. The final main idea I think could be a good quality of life change is villagers interacting more with what you put down. Villagers are the life and soul of Animal Crossing. They're the main draw for us. If they could interact with things you put down in a more pocket camp kind of way, I think it would give the game so much more life. I know they interact with a few things and some of their new interactions are really cute, but imagine in the summer if your villagers were all hanging around by the pool area you've worked on all spring and even swimming in it. It would be so cute. There is one small change I'd like to end on, and that is to never do an event like Bunny Day again, or at least make adjustments to it. Mainly if there's going to be a fishing tourney, make sure that anything that can spawn in the water stops spawning and only fish appear. So those are my quality of life improvements that I think could really improve the game and make things that tiny bit less frustrating. These are all things that could definitely be added in patches as the year goes on or with other updates. I would have included something along the lines of more things to be added like Brewster's Cafe so we can have more things to do in the day, but I think that's definitely going to happen, which is exciting. Hopefully we'll get some new things we've never seen before added too. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know any improvements you'd like to see in New Horizons in the comments down below. I make a lot of Animal Crossing content, so if you want to see more of that, then you could hit subscribe if you like, and I'll see you next time. Bye!